The Chiefs got crushed in the Super Bowl, so bad that general manager Brett Veach has no choice but to make some big changes. The weaknesses in the roster were fully exposed, and today I'll break down what needs to be fixed. But before that, let's talk about some of the greatest quarterbacks who have struggled in the playoffs and Travis Kelce's future with the team. Now, here's something interesting. What if I told you that getting blown out in the Super Bowl might actually be a good thing for the Chiefs? Sounds crazy, right? That's exactly what I thought when I saw a tweet from Adam Best of Arrowhead Addict. But he has a point. Imagine if the Chiefs had lost by just 3 points, let's say 38-35. In that case, the team might have been tempted to keep most of the roster the same, thinking they were just 1 or 2 plays away from a three-peat. But instead, the blowout made the weaknesses crystal clear. Now, Veach has no choice but to fix them. No more hoping Joe Thuney can handle left tackle. That's not happening. If he stays, he needs to be at left guard. Period. I'll get into more roster fixes later, but first, let's talk about something else. We all know the Super Bowl loss was brutal, 40-6 with 3 minutes left. But here's the thing. Patrick Mahomes isn't the only superstar quarterback to struggle in the playoffs. A lot of people are saying Mahomes played terribly in the Super Bowl. And yes, he didn't have a great game. But let's be real. The coaches didn't adjust, his offensive line collapsed, and he had no help. Mahomes was pressured on more than 50% of his dropbacks and got sacked a career-high 6 times. Yet, some people are acting like this one game ruined his entire legacy. Let's get the facts straight. Mahomes has been to 5 Super Bowls by the age of 29. That's the second most appearances for a quarterback, tied with John Elway. The only one ahead of him, Tom Brady, with 10. Now, if we're talking about the greatest quarterbacks ever, the top 3 have to be Tom Brady, Joe Montana, and Patrick Mahomes. Sure, Mahomes just had his worst playoff game, but guess what? It happens to all great quarterbacks. In 1987, Joe Montana played so badly against the Vikings in the divisional round that he got benched. He completed just 12 of 26 passes for 109 yards and threw a pick-6. The 49ers lost 36-24 in a huge upset. And what about Tom Brady? In 2010, the Ravens destroyed the Patriots in the wild card round. At one point, they were leading 24-0, and the final score was 33-4. Brady was awful. He completed just 23 of 42 passes for 154 yards, threw 3 interceptions, and barely averaged 4 yards per pass. The Ravens were so dominant that their own quarterback, Joe Flacco, only completed 4 passes, and it didn't even matter. The point is, bad playoff games happen, even to the greatest of all time. Some people argue, yeah, but those weren't Super Bowls. They were earlier rounds. But here's the thing. If you don't win those playoff games, you don't even get a chance to play in a Super Bowl. Montana and Brady had games so bad that their teams didn't even make it that far. So let's not act like Mahomes is the only superstar quarterback to ever struggle in a big game. So, if you're feeling down about Mahomes' performance, just remember, some of the greatest quarterbacks in history have also had nightmare playoff games on national TV. Now, let's talk about Travis Kelce's future. On his podcast, New Heights with his brother Jason, Kelce took responsibility for his part in the Super Bowl loss. He admitted he could have done more, been a better leader, a better blocker, and stepped up when the team needed him most. You've probably seen the clips going around. He was clearly frustrated and felt like he let the team down. Kelce also had a heartfelt message for Chiefs Kingdom and all the fans who support him. He said, "It's a tough pill to swallow. It's a hard reality, man. I love my teammates. I love my coaches. Chiefs Kingdom, I'm sorry for how it ended. The truth is, Kansas City just never found their rhythm in this game. The Eagles took control early, and the Chiefs couldn't get anything going. But, of course, the big question on everyone's mind, is Travis Kelce retiring? Well, he kind of addressed it. He said he's not making any major decisions right now. Instead, he's just taking things one step at a time. So, for now, Chiefs fans will have to wait and see what happens next. Right now, the biggest thing on Travis Kelce's mind is being there for his teammates and coaches. But he also opened up about how much football he has played over the years. Because of the Chiefs' success, Kelce has played way more games than most players. Every deep playoff run means extra games, extra training, and extra wear and tear on his body. He wasn't complaining, just being real about how demanding the process is. He admitted that this season was especially tough. He said, "The process can make you better, but it can also drive you crazy. And this year, it was kind of driving me crazy. When you don't feel like you're playing at the same level as before, it's a tough pill to swallow." Kelce isn't making any decisions yet. He knows he can still play, but if he comes back, he wants to be all in. He doesn't want to give anything less than 100%. That's why he's taking time to think things through. Right now, it's a big question mark. It's tough to judge his body language just days after a Super Bowl loss. His emotions are still fresh. But if he does retire, the Chiefs won't take a huge financial hit. His contract would only leave $2.5 million in dead money, which wouldn't hurt the team much. But let's be real. Replacing Travis Kelce is nearly impossible. If he stays, his cap hit is $19.8 million next season, and some people think that's too much for a 36-year-old tight end. On one hand, the Chiefs need to save money to fix the weaknesses that cost them in the Super Bowl. On the other hand, Kelce has been underpaid for years. Since 2013, he leads all tight ends in yards and touchdowns. Since 2018, when Mahomes became the starter, Kelce ranks third in receiving yards and fifth in receiving touchdowns among all pass catchers. No other tight end even comes close, and if you compare him to top receivers, they've earned $25 to $35 million more than Kelce, despite putting up similar numbers. Oh, and they're all younger than him. So, if Kelce decides to return, paying him that full $19.8 million? 100% worth it. He's earned it. And when you have a player like Travis Kelce, you do right by him at the end of his career. Travis Kelce is the greatest tight end to ever play the game. He's been loyal to the Chiefs, helped them win multiple championships, and stayed consistent every single year, except for his rookie season when he injured his knee. That said, football is a business. If Kelce stays, the Chiefs might restructure his contract to lower his cap hit. That could mean spreading out some of his salary into future years to help the team's budget. But what do you think? Should he take a pay cut to help the team, or does he deserve every penny of that contract? The Chiefs' biggest cap hits. Speaking of money, Patrick Mahomes is set to have the third largest cap hit in the entire NFL, $66.3 million. The only two quarterbacks with a bigger hit are Dak Prescott and Deshaun Watson, which is surprising to say the least. Even for a superstar like Mahomes, $66.3 million is a huge number. The Chiefs will probably restructure his deal as they usually do by converting some of that into bonuses to create more cap space. But even after that, Mahomes will still have the biggest cap hit on the team by far. After Mahomes, the other top cap hits for the Chiefs are Chris Jones, $34.8 million Jawan Taylor, $27.4 million Joe Thuney, just under $27 million Travis Kelce, $19.8 million. Right now, the Chiefs rank 22nd in cap space with just $15.7 million available. That's not much, so they have to make moves to free up money. 2025 roster priorities. The number one priority? Fixing the offensive line. Joe Thuney is on the last year of his contract, and at 33 years old, he might want an extension. That could help lower his cap hit if the Chiefs decide to keep him. Then there's Trey Smith, one of the biggest free agents on the market. He's going to get a ton of money in free agency, possibly around $20 million per year. The Chiefs need to at least consider keeping him, but it won't be cheap. Big decisions are coming, and the Chiefs have to be smart with their money. Do they pay big to keep their key players, or do they rebuild and go younger? The next few months will tell us a lot. The offensive line puzzle. Trey Smith could reset the market for guards. Right now, Landon Dickerson is making $21 million per year, and Chris Lindstrom is at $20.5 million. If Smith lands a similar deal, the Chiefs will be. The offensive line decisions. There are some interesting tackles available in free agency, if they don't get franchise tagged. Teams have from February 20th to March 4th to tag one player. If these tackles hit the market, names to watch include Cam Robinson, Ronnie Stanley, Alaric Jackson, and DJ Humphries. Humphries has even said he'd love to return to Kansas City and get a full offseason with the team. There are a lot of ways the Chiefs could handle this. Should they pay Trey Smith and invest in a top left tackle to keep Mahomes protected? Or let Smith walk and use that money elsewhere? No matter what, protecting Mahomes' blind side has to be the priority. If Joe Thuney stays, moving him back inside to guard would help stabilize the left side of the line. Chiefs sign players to reserve, to future contracts. The Chiefs also signed 12 players to reserve each future contracts. These deals go to practice squad players after the season and don't count against the salary cap or roster until the new league year in March. It's no surprise that all 12 players were on Kansas City's practice squad at the end of the season. They'll get a shot at making the 53-man roster or returning to the practice squad. Here are the names. Wide receivers, Jason Brownlee, Justin Ross, Tyquan Thornton. Safety, Dion Bush. Tight ends, Baylor Cupp, Anthony Ferkser. Defensive tackles, Siaki Ika, Fabian Lovett. Offensive tackle, Jason Godric. Quarterback, Chris Oladokin. Cornerbacks, Darius Rush, Eric Scott Jr. Some of these players could push for a roster spot just like Justin Watson did a few years ago when he was signed to a similar deal. More moves are coming soon, including possible coaching changes, so stay tuned for updates all off-season long.